So I'm a corporate treasurer. I've got my own FX function in my treasury team. And for whatever reason, we decided to go to market, and we're looking to outsource that FX service that we need. Doesn't that jeopardize the role of my treasury team and my FX lead within the treasury team?
So I'd argue that a good one should do the exact opposite. A bad one might not, but a good one should do the opposite. And I also, incidentally, I tend to find that people are more comfortable with the phrase managed service than outsourced provider. But anyhow,
right,
that's a different story, even if it does the same thing. But joking aside, what we found, at least, and I can only talk from my experience with our clients, is that typically FX is a source of frustration for them, not a source of value add within a treasury team.
right,
and it's definitely not their primary function.
Yeah.
If I think about the treasury team, it normally has a function of using and moving money, with FX being a relatively ancillary function of those two core things. So this isn't about outsourcing the entire treasury function. This is about removing potential sources of pain and operational risk for something which they don't actually want to be doing if they didn't have to. So subject to fulfilling certain criteria, outsourcing FX primarily gives the team back time, I would argue, to focus on more important things, whilst at the same time giving them full visibility and transparency over their data. And so if we look at the slide that we have with a single bar chart, we can see the kind of things that people are concerned about, and frankly, rightly so. Right, the number one concern that people have here is around trust. Right, the second one is onboarding. Hey, we talked about onboarding earlier. Any kind of onboarding's generally a nuisance. There's also concern about costs, because in a normal, or I'd say outside of FX, typically when you're outsourcing something, it involves higher costs. And the other element here, which is important, is a lack of control. But so if I come back to trust, though, trust is such a key element here. And it also goes back to our point on governance a minute ago, right? With governance comes trust. You don't get trust automatically with governance, but I would argue that strong governance is a necessary ingredient to trust. But ultimately, retained oversight and control are key ingredients, I would argue, in empowering a treasury team when they choose to outsource a specific function like FX.